For type-in information, please press 4. For all other questions, press 5 or stay on the line.
Does this, oh, no, I'm super Okay, thanks. Does this sound familiar to you? I hope you heard it. It's somebody waiting in line on a phone call trying to contact our customer service center in Brick, waiting in line and waiting for handed over to a customer or an agent. My name is Gander, and I'm a project manager for the customer center in Brick, and I work for the SBB. And I would like to talk today about customer-driven architecture for Chatbot. 1.2 million people commute or travel every day with the SBB. They go to work, they use the trains for activities in their free time, or they go on vacation in Switzerland, Europe, or all over the world. Doesn't matter. But they have questions, they have problems during their trips. That's why they contact us in the customer service center. Our agents try to give them advice and solve their problems every day for 24/7 over the phone, emails, or also on social media channels. The volume in the customer service center rises every year. So we have more customers calling or contacting us. We need to think in solutions for the future in order to not get hit by this wave, which is still far away. But we need to think in what do our customers need in the future and what are their special needs. That was the reason why we thought about the chatbot. We thought maybe easy and repeating questions can be solved over a chatbot, and customers can do that by themselves on our website. And yes, it is a hype. It's a trend, everybody does it. Our management was happy to hear that we're developing a chatbot, and also our innovation department was curious to see how this works, what kind of experience do we take from that. But I would like to start talking about how we started. In our first phase, we wanted to find out, is it a need? Does anybody wait for a chatbot at all? So we invited customers to Bern, and we asked them, what do you know about chatbots? Do you even use it? What are questions you would ask a chatbot? And what kind of data would you share? So those insights helped us to start initially. And we learned some things about these interviews. So our customers have the expectation that the chatbot would recognize currently their problem and the context of what they're talking about. They expect an easy, precise, and also personalized answer on what they were asking. They don't want FAQs or like generic knowledge-based information. It should be human-like, but not too funny and not too serious. They would like to hand over to an agent if the bot is at the end of talking or is lost in the conversation. And it shouldn't pretend to be a person. They would like to know if it's a robot or a person. And finally, it's important for them also to have a good user experience, that they know what to do, that it's easy to use, and it's a good-looking bot. And that was us saying, okay, we just started, and we didn't even start with doing a bot. We're not sure if we should do it, because those expectations are very high, and we knew that with the technology right now, we wouldn't be able to meet those expectations. But we thought, okay, let's do it. We try it and see how this goes. And we started with a simple question answer bot, which was actually only an FAQ bot. And we tried it to develop it by ourselves. So we took some surveys from Microsoft and started, and we asked ourselves, okay, what kind of data should we use now? I mean, we don't have a bot. Should we take emails from customers? But we found out it's not really capable with put the emails into the bot, because in emails you use different words. It's more formal than a bot. The bot is, you write more informal in a bot. So we thought, okay, we have a live chat. Let's take the conversation from the live chat. But also, conversation from a live chat are more conversational, not like an FAQ bot. So we tried to make a mixture and started from scratch, taking phrases and synonyms and questions from customers, from emails, and also from live chat logs. And after a while, we were asking ourselves, okay, why is it hype? We don't see it, because it didn't really work at all. I mean, it's an FAQ bot, which has no prediction at all, no machine learning, and we were kind of frustrated again, second low in our project. It's like, okay, we thought artificial intelligence in a side of business is better. It's cool, it's trendy, and it works because everybody does it. And the reality is that sometimes people think it's a live chat. They don't really know, is it just a click bot? Is it machine learning? What is it? And also, the management thinks, okay, show us results. Why are you not faster? And how about the accuracy? So those are the trade-off, expectation versus reality, not only from the customer insight, but also from the business insight. So we added a more predictive model to this FAQ bot because we were not satisfied, and we thought with this kind of small product, we cannot go live at all. And since we took this model and we didn't really work with the company together, it was still a black box, or like this glass bowl. We didn't really know what predictions they make and what kind of logic it's behind. But we tried harder and went live with the MVP. And every day we looked at the results and the logs from the customers and tried to improve and bring them into our development. And that was our first small MVP. It is small. It focuses on GEA, like General Abonnement. I'm not sure if everybody knows what it is, but it's like bond card 50 in Germany and half card. And it's on the SBB website. It's hidden, so because we knew it's not that good. But still, we put it on live to see, okay, what do even customers ask? I mean, that was our first question we didn't even know. Do they ask really complex questions? Would they know what a chatbot is? Do they know how to use it? And now I would like to show you some examples what happened. So this is a good example. So this customer, I can translate it if you want, asked about how he can quit the GEA. And the customer gave him the right answer. And he said, okay, thanks, you helped me buy tea. I'm not sure if he really realized if it's a bot or not. We also realized that sentiment and also small talk is an essential requirement. So here, this customer had somebody died in his family, and the chatbot said, yeah, I'm sorry for that, but you can call, please call, and we help you in the customer service center. And that was also something would happen. So you can make it easy as possible. When customers don't know what a chatbot is, you can make it as easy as possible. So this customer really told the whole story, what they're doing, what they're studying, and at the end is the final question, what he was asking about. And if that doesn't happen, then maybe we need a tutorial in the beginning, or we were asking ourselves, what do we need to do with those customers? And not just a few customers wrote like that. And that is impossible for the chatbot to handle. And customer also share data. That really surprised us. I mean, this customer wrote 2 times their customer ID, the full name, and then at the end he said, okay, that's my question, thanks, bye. Does this customer expect an answer from us by email or by phone? We didn't really know. I mean, we got back to this customer by email and telling him, okay, this is the answer for your question you asked us in the chatbot. Next time you maybe call us, because those customers we never reach with a bot. And our conclusion after this first phase is it is a need for our customers to use the bot. I mean, lots of people used it. They didn't use it for fun. They used it for real questions about GEA and half-card. And just because it's a hype, it doesn't need to be our solution for a problem, because we also found out that lots of customers had really easy questions, and they couldn't find those information on the website. And this, before in the presentation before, somebody asked, can we also improve our website? And our opinion from this pilot is yes, because our customers are lost. So what is our initial problem? Can we solve it with a bot, or is maybe another solution a better one? What we also learned is a chatbot is not a quick win. It's not super fast to implement a chatbot on a website. You need to take a look at the logs every day. You need to implement users' feedback every day. And it's not a quick win. I mean, we have a customer service center. So should we rather hire somebody else instead of developing a bot like that? Those are questions you need to ask yourself. Logic and also design is necessary. I mean, we started with not having lots of knowledge in creating a bot. So it's necessary to ask yourself, what are the topics you want to cover in your bot first, before you start? Even though we defined our subject in the beginning already to a small area of GEA and half-card. It's also important that business and IT work together close and like every day. And they interact and talk on the same level. So we developed this first pilot with one IT guy and 2 or 3 business people taking a closer look on what our customer need. But it also is important to give this information over to the IT and develop it together. And another point is, when is it a success and when is it a failure? I think we haven't really found an answer to this question yet. But I get back to that a little bit later. And it is essential to see how do your customer express themselves and how do they write. You cannot just put all the customer in one pot and every customer from every company is the same. They use different synonyms in different stages of their life. If they have a different background, they use different words, different expressions, and it's important to have them implemented. From those insights we gathered in the first phase, we started all over again. We were looking for a new partner because we knew that developing the bot by itself is too much work for us. We need some experts already. So we started to work with a startup from Zurich and took the whole logs we got from the first phase and put it in the new bot, because those were exactly what the customer were asking. We structured our bot from those logs. So we only took the logs from the customer and built it from there. Because before we thought, okay, the customer might ask also about, I don't have an example, but we thought what customer could ask. And that's not always the reality. We also implemented machine learning. We also implemented the agent. So our customer could get handed over to the agent. That was not a feature we had before. It could capture context, but I will give you some examples for that right now. Since I mentioned before, it's not always a chatbot who can solve your problem. So we detected that our customer don't find the information on our website, because the chatbot was really hidden on the website. And they were clicking through all those sites to get to this chatbot. And 100 people were using this chatbot every day. So we thought, okay, those people are really lost on the website, and then asking, how much is the gear? I mean, they were scrolling through this information already, because if they get to the bot, they would have found it. So we thought maybe a clickbot would also be a solution. I mean, it's less expensive, it's much easier, makes our lives better, like our lives. And maybe it makes the customer happy, because he finds his information fast and easy. So we took those two cases, those two prototypes, and went again out of the office and tested with the customers. So again, we took those insights again to make the bot better and took those feedback into our iterative process. For example, I mentioned before that the customers wrote those long requests. So we implemented a tip saying, okay, you should communicate with me in short and easy sentences. Sometimes it works, sometimes users don't read. And we maximized the text limit in box. So now we have only 140 characters for the customer to type in, which makes it much easier. I think that was the main point, to lead the customer in the right direction. Okay, I come again with the examples. The example we had before with somebody died. This happens a lot. And it's important that we recognize this intention of the customer. And we changed it a little bit. Should a chatbot have emotion or not? I mean, before we had, I am sorry for that. And we thought a chatbot doesn't need emotion. He needs to show the customer that he understood what the customer wanted. But he doesn't need to pretend to be a human. That's what also our customer said, please don't pretend to be a human or a person. And it's important to handle those sensitive requests by a human. We don't want to have our customer angry or not being handled the right way. and make it easy and fun to interact with a chatbot. You can implement pictures, do text bubbles, and support the customers in their flow and in their dialogue. Also, the same here, you can provide suggestion. You can make it easier for the customer to get through the flow. And also, it's important to think in the customer. Think maybe what he needs to know next. I mean, the customer here asks about gear. Does he want to buy one? Does he want to quit one? Maybe he wants to find something out what he needs to buy one, maybe some papers and stuff like that. Or he doesn't even know which one he needs. So you can give him a suggestion and lead him through again. Be a step ahead and lead the customer. I mean, here the customer asks, what is my customer ID? And we also have the ID of the card, which is a total different ID. And sometimes customers don't speak the same language as the company does. So make it easy. It's sometimes hard to know when is the time to hand the customer over to the agent. So is it 3 times the customer couldn't find an answer? I mean, our customers are pretty patient with us. This bot is not rocket science, but they try again. If the bot didn't find an answer, they tried it a different way. But we thought, okay, after 2 times trying, we need to have an agent to take over. Try to focus on context and dialogue. Here we have the example, a customer asking about the price for a GEA student. He gave him the answer, and he asked in the second sentence, and which documents do I need for that? And our bot still had the context of knowing we're talking about the GEA student. So it's important to also focus on this. And in the end, what I'm trying to say is also ask the customer directly for their feedback. You can go out and do interviews and do prototypes to ask customers, but you can do it directly in the end of a bot. But first we thought, okay, it's enough to just have a smiley and saying, okay, do you want some free text? And it was hard for us to detect why are they not satisfied. I mean, they put maybe a negative smiley, and they didn't do anything in the bot. You can go through the logs. They just went in, didn't ask anything, went out. What do you do with those feedbacks? You cannot improve. And this is the worst case you can have. So get the most out of this. But it's hard. And it's also hard for us to, if you give some suggestion to the customer, and the customer clicks through those suggestions and leaves, how can you say if the bot is successful or not? Not sure if I can tell if the customer found the right answer. And our conclusion after this second phase is a combination of free text and chatbot suggestions allows to find easy and fast answers. I mean, after we went to the main station in Zurich and tested those 2 prototypes, customers said we need a combination of both. Not only clickable bots, not only free text, but a mix of both. So in order to ride this wave I showed you in the beginning, it's important you take your customer feedback and build your bot out from there. We want to meet customer expectations and that they don't have to wait in the phone line like the one you heard before. We want to make it as easy as possible for our customers to get the right answer. Yeah.
Thank you. So thank you very much. We have time for 2 or 3 questions before the lunch break.
Yeah?
Thank you for the presentation. Quite interesting. I'll try it. What I was wondering is what kind of technology are you using these days in the chatbots?
Right now we're still working together with the startup enterprise bot, But this was for an early stage. This was a pilot, and we started to work with other companies as well. Like with the company we have the whole knowledge base from, maybe we can share it. So we're not at the end of saying we know which technology we will use. We will ask ourselves by the end of the year what is the best for our use case and how we can develop it further. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm wondering, thanks a lot for the presentation, it's really good. What is now the biggest pain point you have after all the development you already did?
I think a big point is that we don't know right now how to measure this chatbot. I mean, it's a small area where we use it. It's only care and healthcare, and we cannot say, okay, we got a reduction in phone calls or emails. And it costs a lot of money, things like that, and in order to develop it further, we need some use case. I mean, it's a case. It's really hard to tell if it's customer use it, yes, but really makes their life, does it make it life easier for them?
You have a problem then computing the business impact of this use case. So as you're saying, there is usage, but you're not able to quantify it in Swiss francs.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
It is a problem, yes. Not the main one. I mean, we want to make a user experience. We want to make life easier for our customer, and that's the main point. But still, it's hard to measure, also to see how to leverage it afterwards.
So you're still in an experimental phase, and you have a strategy also going ahead. And like you said, how do you leverage it? So have you already thought about this, or are you still at a stage where you're saying, let's just keep testing and trying so far?
I mean, we are thinking in the customer service center. I mean, SBB is much bigger. Then you have the whole recruitment world, you have the whole real estate business, stuff like that. But we think that we will leverage it in the customer service center. Yes, not sure which business use cases we will implement next and on which technology. Yes?
So I have a question about user study. When you did you actually? I'm just curious. Did you actually look into style responses? So matching on the style from the user, was that something that was important for your building a chatbot? Like potentially like the register, for example, the linguistic register. If somebody, or the demographic, like the way people speak. If somebody is more informal versus not, a certain demographic, if it's a teenager versus an elderly.
Yeah.
Was that in any of your studies?
No, it wasn't. And it's hard to tell just from the logs how old people were, and that would be a good point to take into consideration for our next step. But in the interviews, we couldn't see a difference. So also young people, they were more aware of sharing data. Are like, I'd rather go to the counter. I'm not using those technologies. So what we found out, people think just young people use it, and that's not the case, what we found out. Yeah, not you, but in general, like people in their 20s really said, I'd rather go to the counter instead of using a phone, an email, social media, or even use a chatbot. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we should stop here. So
Thanks.
thank you, Laura. Thank you to all the speakers.